Yeah, we were going to test tonight whether GoToWebinar was a better format for what we're doing. But from what it looks like. All right, so we'll get started here. As we can see, the slow uptrend let's see, hold on for 1 second. Now they're coming in through here. Okay, some of you is far better. All right. Then I'll just have to bite the bullet and either that or we'll just do half and half each night. Just every other person will just bump back out. Okay. All right. As we can see, the uptrend is still a slow uptrend, a 45-degree coming off this big signal here from this past week. Somewhat the same scenario. Pat, I want to make sure that when everybody's taking the time to come here to learn stuff, that it's a good, comfortable learning place instead of having to fight with the mechanics all the time. So I'll gladly pay a lot more money to make sure everybody's happy with the system. Because even with a good system, you have seen that I'm very capable of goofing it up from time to time. So anyways, we're in a 45-degree coming off this big move, which tells us we're right back in kind of the uptrend that we were before that little pullback. The NASDAQ, same scenario, had an uptrend, pullback, and now we're back right up in that uptrend. So as long as the 45 degrees stays in place, or we stay above the T-line, that is more important to realize that than just analyzing that you've got a slow, steady uptrend. Because what it does is, as long as investor confidence doesn't get shaken by a big downdraft day or a pullback period, then the price patterns that are developing have a lot more enthusiasm when they break out to the upside. And that's essentially what we're looking for, is that no, Carlos, remember, each stock is their own individual entity. And so right now, as we've seen, we'll go back to Apple, but Apple, remember, got stuck below the T-line and has not been back up above it for quite a while. So no matter what you're hoping Apple's doing, the T-line is pretty much showing us exactly. Well, we might as well go there since we're talking about it. All right, this is a fine howdy-do. All right. T-line, we had that one pump up. Now we're back below the T-line. I just have an idea that you're still in a downtrend with Apple, that so this is where you have to kind of observe the obvious. The downtrend is the predominant factor here. Okay. Yeah, Alan, 45 degree in the sense that it's just kind of coming up off of a just a slow, steady uptrend, approximately a 45 degree. Just another name for a slow, steady uptrend. All right. Some of the other things that are affecting crude oil has been just in a slow uptrend ever since a little scoop type pattern. So that's holding on to some of these oil stocks, or keeping them their heads above water. Gold has had a short-term bounce, but all it's done is bounce back up to the top of the trend channel. If it starts selling off from here, you know that your potential is back down to the bottom of the trend channel, which could be a good drop. Silver has been more of a basing action, so you'd probably imply that gold is going to be moving up with the stronger chart pattern we're having in silver, which I would anticipate right now they could take silver up to the 50. The reason for that is this little kicker type signal in an uptrend tells us we're probably still got more upside. Oh, pshaw. Ah. So silver should be in an uptrend. Let's see. Interest rates have been pulling back, but notice how the 10-year note has kind of settled right here on the 200 and starting back up. It's got to break above this trend channel, bringing interest rates up a little bit, but not anything that would get so discouraging at this point that it's going to change market direction. Dollar dropped off heavy here in the last couple of days. Let me make sure we're getting these charts small enough now. Yeah, so we're kind of in a sideways, but right now our current trend is down. And remember, anytime you see a big signal, like a big, huge bearish engulfing signal, that's going to tell you that there's been a definite change. It's more apt to tell you there's a definite change of investor sentiment. And it's probably going to continue in that direction. Yeah, let's see. The euro, opposite of the dollar, obviously. It has the doji gap up through the T line, then the breakout through this little resistance level. Still more upside in that one. And cattle, I suspect, is being brought down to the 200-day moving average. Lean hogs hit a bottom the other day, yesterday, and started back up. Kind of have this trend channel right here that you can see. So that makes this our next target up here. Now the soybeans had a big reversal over the last couple of days. Make this big where we can see it. Apparently the crop report was very favorable for the crop. Yeah, for the crops. That'd be a nice thing for the crop report to be favorable for, is the crops. But As you can see, soybeans had a big, huge day today and just trading just even after hours. Wheat, same scenario. Had a big, huge day on Friday of indecision after a little inverted hammer. Then opened positive today, traded up. Now it's trading up back into the profit-taking area after hours. So looks like the grains are going to have some support in here for a little bit. Corn, if it breaks through the 50, obviously it's got a good target to get up to this resistance level. I think there is. Is that what it is? Is WEAT? Yeah, it's not coming up on. Maybe it's. Okay, there's wheat fund. Okay. We did, see, sugar. Sugar is just kind of in the sideways trend. I wrote it down to this point. The problem is when you write it down to this point and then you cover up here, you didn't have too much of a move from the time you got in to the time you got out for the number of days you had to sit in it. These are what you really like to see is when they gap it down and start the long downtrend. Now we're just kind of in this choppy up and down wave movement. Cocoa looks like it's on its way back as long as it stays above the T line. And cotton looks like your little J-hook pattern is starting to set up. All right. Microphone adjustment has moved. All right. Or have I muted? Sound low. Is this better? Okay. Okay. Now, all right. Let's take a look at some of the positions we have and what to do with them and why. AEZS, as we can see, has this long fry pan bottom, a little breakout here, now starting an uptrend. With stochastics not in the overbought area yet, the likelihood is they could take this up to the 200-day moving average, which would coincide with filling this gap. So right here with this breakout, that tells us there's a new force. It's broken out through this resistance level. So we just want to continue to hold this as long as it stays above the T-line. Velt was another one that we've been holding. It's doing this little double bottom, and notice how it's, again, using the 50 and the T-line as a support level. It came back today and used the T-line as support. Let's make this big enough where we can see it. I would anticipate that if this opened higher tomorrow, you want to be buying it immediately. They're going to take it right back up again. And Vivus, popping up, pulls back. It pops up, pulls back. Pops up, pulls back. Did a doji right here on the T-line. This is one of the most effective ways to use your knowledge of what should happen with a signal. We know the doji has a very simple rule. They're going to move it in the direction of how they open it after a doji. If that doji happens to be sitting right smack dab on a moving average, makes it very simple. Tells us if they open up positive, you want to be buying because they're probably supporting on the T-line. If it opens negative, it tells you probably want to be out of it as fast as possible because they aren't supporting on the T-line anymore. They're still on the way down. any way you can put out an email with the stocks on your watch list. Garth, I just updated it last night. If you go to the same area where you would get the stock picks, there's the follow-ups. And that way you can go right down through the follow-ups and see which ones are where they are and what should be done with them. And I guess I could put out, I've got a list of them. I'm hesitating only because if you saw how slow I type, you wouldn't make me do that. CBK has been a nice steady eddy right up until today, where we had a bearish left-right combination hanging man signal. This is the first time it's really been down below the T-line, below the T-line ever since the hammer signal in the doji gap up. So one of two things is going to happen. If they open this lower tomorrow, you close out the position immediately. If they need to open it positive and trade it positive to show that the T-line is still acting as support. A left-right combination is a doji followed by a bearish engulfing signal. Doji is kind of that little left jab, not really anything decisive. But then the big roundhouse right, in this case a bearish engulfing signal, tells you after the indecisive trading the day before, they are very decisive on what they want to do with that trading the next day. This combination right here is a very, very strong reversal. As far as doing the quantitative of which signals are the best ones, this one, the left-right is the second one. First one is your best friend with a doji gap up. Second one is a left-right. No, they're bullish or bearish. They're a doji followed by a bearish engulfing signal for a downtrend, a doji followed by a bullish engulfing for an uptrend. Okay. VC is another one that has slowly kept with the uptrend, and notice how it just held the T-line. Then you had a long-legged doji, which told you they are going to move in the direction. How they take it after this? Well, they opened it up positive today. More than likely, you're going to see some more upside. When the stochastics get up in the overbought area and you're up way away from the T-line, that's where you start looking for your to take your profits. OSIS is another one that I'm recommending. Notice it did a doji today after a good solid bullish candle. If it opens positive tomorrow, you want to do the doji sandwich. Let's see. Okay. Crocs. Crocs is one of those where it came out of kind of the cradle pattern. I think we started recommending Crocs further down somewhere. But when it came out of this kind of cradle pattern, or scoop type pattern, notice it stayed above the T-line. These are, again, that steady eddy that you like to have in your portfolio, so you don't have to pay attention to it until you see a sell signal. In NetEase. NetEase is just bumping its head here on the 50. We'd like to see it break through quickly, because if you're in the January calls, they need to break this one out and get it moving big over the next couple of days. Otherwise, everything's going to get soggy if they kind of bob in between the T-line and the 50, waiting for the T-line crunch to push it up through. And ACTV is just a nice looking chart. There's your big fry pan bottom. There's your breakout level, which you're almost to right now. And if it breaks out through here, I guess I went a little bit too far. We're going to come up and test this level. So there's a good 35% return potential on this one. That's ACTV, yes. And MKTG is another one that's been tossed around in the chat rooms. Another very nice fry pan bottom. Right now into the breakout area, which means there's no resistance until you get up here. Another 15, 17% move to get to that level. Potentially, yes, to fill the gaps. In NKTR. This one's doing very nicely because today, when it pulled back, it came right to the 200 and the T-line and started moving up positive from there. This one still has a lot more upside potential, even though your stochastics are in the overbought area. You're in the overbought area as it's breaking out through resistance levels and through the beginning of this whole pattern. So that's the difference between being at the top and breaking out at the top. Which I think I have that in here somewhere. Well, shuzzbutts. Where did I put that? Well. Oh, there it is. Something like VRNT. Now that's just a steady uptrend with a gap up in the overbought condition. Over here, we see there's nothing that it's breaking out from. It's just been in a nice uptrend and gapped up in an overbought condition. That, to me, was a perfect place to be taking profits because the probabilities are going to be that if they open this lower, somebody's pulled the cork and they're going to take it all the way back down to test the T-line. Same scenario today. People were asking, well, why did you close out HW? There's no sell signal. That's because we had a steady uptrend and they gapped it up in the overbought condition. It wasn't a breakout of any sort. It was just a steady uptrend with a gap up. So had there been a resistance level or some sort of pattern that it was breaking out of, that would have told us a lot more. But in this case, there was nothing. It was just an uptrend with a gap up, and that's when you want to start taking your profits. Yeah, if you'll hold on to your individual stocks at the end, more than likely I will catch most of the ones that we've been discussing in the chat room here, and yeah, that will keep you from anxiously thinking that I've ignored you. UNXL. The reason this one has so much potential is, if you look at the past, well, whoops, there's been almost a year of just flat nothing. And then in the last month and a half, we had our little rounding bottom, J-hook, take off, pull back. There's our cradle pattern, taking it back up. And right now, it's pulled back off the T-line and starting back up again. Not a buy signal, just telling us that the selling probably has stopped in here at the T-line, and that this, at worst, was probably in some sort of uptrend from this point. let's see. Good Vivas. FSL had a belt hold, which is a continuation pattern, which told us we should be heading up. Now today they took it down and they took it below the T-line, but closed it back up above the T-line. That fact alone should just be added confirmation that they can't get this below the T-line. If they open this positive, you probably still want to be buying this. But if it needs to get out of this range very quickly, the longer they keep in this range or behind the or below the T-line, the higher the probability nothing's going to happen. So after 5, 6, 7 days of it moving sideways after a big signal, if nothing's happened, this probably tells you nothing's going to happen. So unless they have a big day tomorrow breaking this to the upside, you probably want to close out the position and move on to someplace else. Worst case scenario is you move on to someplace else and 3 days later you see it break out to the upside. You can always jump back in. All right, maybe you missed out on 20 cents, but at least you weren't sitting there waiting for 20 cents for the next 3 weeks. That you got into the position when the position was moving. NKTR, did we do that one? Yeah, I think they skipped around there for a while. No, that was FTK. Yeah, stayed above the T-line. Now, we would have liked to have seen this break out today doing a J-hook, but it didn't. It's still close to that trajectory, but it has to open higher and trade higher to stay in this one. If it opens lower and starts trading below the T-line, that tells us this is a double top versus a breakout situation. And CMVT was one that was pointed out. Another one that gapped up at the end of an uptrend. Hold on, I'll make this an uptrend. So this one, you've got to be more careful because the doji type signal tells you they're going to move it in the direction how they open it after a doji. So if they move this positive tomorrow, they could eventually reach the 200. Oh, I saw the 50 here. I'm checking out. 50 already went through. So this one, a gap up doji, you have to see how it opens tomorrow. It's going to move in the direction of how they open it after a doji. A J-hook, Tarek, I'll get to that in a minute when we come across another J-hook. See, we did FTK. We did, QCT. Is that what it is? Wow, who wrote this? QL. All right. QLTY. This has a nice wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, starting with that doji gap up, your best friend. This one you stay in as long as it stays above the T-line. Notice today, as it came back down to try to test the T-line, it did it with a very very indecisive trading. CMVT is right on the brink of gapping up in an overbought condition. The only difference is it's gapped up into this no man's land. into the gap area. And that's what makes this more appealing, that it might be more upside. But this will be very simple to determine based on how they open it tomorrow. So none of these are difficult to process the next day. All it is how is it opening. If it's opening positive, they should be taking it up. If they should be taking it up, or should they not be trading it back below the low of the day. That's where you put your stop. And DNDN, we bought this morning because we had a kicker signal right here to the 200. They gapped it up again. We were buying on the positive trading today. It ended as a doji. Stochastic still coming up. Perfect setup for a doji sandwich. If it opens positive, you can be buying immediately with the expectation of this type of move in the candle. And the reason we expect it is because of the strength of this signal right here, the kicker signal, which is the strongest of all the signals. Okay, now, we did that. CACD. CACAD. Another fry pan bottom setup with a breakout. Stochastic still coming up. You can still be buying this one on positive trading with the potential coming back up to test this level right here. And INFA consolidated a little bit today, but it came out of a nice rounding bottom, did a doji, makes this one very simple. It's going to move in the direction of how they open it after a doji. They're either going to let its head up here at the 200 to come back and test the T-line to see whether that's going to hold. And RIM, another J-hook type pattern. There's your left-right combo. See the little doji right here, followed by a big bullish engulfing signal. And remember, the bigger the signal, the higher the probability there's been a change of investor sentiment. That there's usually going to be some follow through. Now here's some more J hooks. There's wave one. This is the prelude to a J hook, as a strong price move. Then a little pullback, which not very convincing, and then starts back up. So if this is the J hook, this move starting from here should equate this move right here. So you can pretty well gauge how far that next move will be. And if it's right on a major number, like 20, then you got a good opportunity to say, all right, I might want to buy the 15s or the 16s. Can't see what number. The 18s and sell the 20s. And if that makes sense, we're going to be doing an option training fairly soon. Let's see. We're going to have an introduction to options on February 6th for members. And what is this? Intro to I don't know what that word is. I know there's a options session, which basically what we're going to do is, instead of trying to teach people the new option strategies, what is the appropriate option strategy to put on with different price moves or different price patterns. Okay, then we also have ARNA. That is a kind of a J-hook pattern setup. And MindSpeed. Strong price move, pullback, and now a J-hook pattern. Now this one can be confirmed. I mean, this has very simple entry and exit strategies on this one. Where would be a good confirmation? This one opened up here above the close, but pulled back this way. Where would be a good place that would tell us the bulls are still in control? If we put a buy stop one tick above where it opened yesterday, if it comes up through there, that tells us that the bulls are still in there, that this J-hook pattern is in progress.
That item H13.
All right.
125.
We did rim.
3 p.m. Tape. Above 8 p.m. Tape. Do not be short.
Hewlett
That
Packard.
item H13.
That's not what I wanted. That's got a nice wave 1, wave 2, then a gap up, wave 3, with probably the potential up here to the 200-day moving average. And is that Orex? Orex, there's a J-hook pattern. Moves up, pulls back, very indecisive, buy signals, starts curling back up, stochastics curling back up. If they break out through this level, this move here is going to equate to this move here. And so we know what our strategy is. We need to see a positive open, and or if it opens lower, not too much lower, but lower. But if it comes back up through the close of the previous day, you start buying. And that's, if it breaks out through this level, that tells you that the bulls are still there and that this pattern is probably going to work. All right, what else do we got? CCJ. That's a good-looking J-hook pattern, too. Strong up move, fails at the 200, pulls back to the T-line, hovers here, T-line crunch, pushes you back up through. Notice what we had yesterday. Big down day, then they opened it positive and took it right back up through the open. That's where you could be buying, getting ready for wave 3 to start. And ZQK. This kind of profit taking with a belt hold right back to the T-line told us the profit taking ended up here, and the bulls stepped right back in, taking out all the sellers. It tells you this is kind of a continuation pattern. There's still more upside. Regarding lot size stops. Is this a buyout candidate? All right. Let's see. LXK. J-hook pattern. Notice a strong move to the upside, then the indecisive pullback. Spinning top, doji, down day, spinning top, bullish day, things curling back up. Again, if this opens positive, you want to be buying it immediately, knowing that you're going into wave 3. And CZR. This one I brought up because it's kind of a symmetrical pattern, but notice what's happened right here, a Morningstar signal. Morningstar signal acts like that little scoop type pattern, but if you see that at the end of a trading range, usually that tells you that's what's going to kick this off and give it a slingshot effect out of here. Oh, hold on. We've got a cat that was left alone for 3 days and needs every bit of attention it can get. And it's now making where I can't even see the keyboard. Oh, cat. STEC. There's a cat for sale. Kind of double bottoming in here. This one is getting ready to start for its wave 3, which would be the equivalent of this wave right here. Okay, I'll take the recipe for cat stew. SGYP. Whoops. People just came in the door. The cat's not for sale. That was a close one. Stu was using, or this one, SGYP, to illustrate that once you have a big gap up and they start pulling back, just wait till you see the them stop the selling. And that's what we can see very clearly with the candlestick signals. When it starts turning green, that tells you the selling has stopped and the buying has come back in. Why do we expect the buying to come back in? Because when they gap it up, that's giving you the message that somebody's trying to get in there and buy a lot of this with great force. They buy it with great force, there's profit taking, and when the profit taking's over, that great force will continue that uptrend. This is what you always want to keep an eye on, pennant formations. Let's make this a little bit more exaggerated. When you can see there's a pennant formation, I don't know whether I can do this. Yes, I should be able to do this. When you can see this starting to come together, if they break out through one side of that, that means you're going to have a fairly strong run. This is kind of that force that that you're kind of pushing into a funnel, but there's a weak spot in the funnel somewhere. They pop it through, and that means it's popped through with a lot of energy. And this one I wanted to show because this one is your best friend. Whenever you see dojis followed by a gap up, that's your best friend. It's through the T-line. The only thing it has to get through right here is this downward trend channel. But this doji gap up tells you there's a lot of force in here. That tells you there's probably a good probability you're going to see this move to the upside. And TFSL. This is your classic, your fry pan bottom, your breakout. Notice they gapped it up right here at the level that this fry pan bottom started. Through the 200. Tells you have a strong up move. You have a strong price move and then profit taking. What's the prelude to a J-hook pattern? Is a strong price move with profit taking, then you start your next wave up. So if this one was a let's say a $2 move, then we should move from here to almost the $12 range with pretty good reliability. The J-hook pattern is pretty equivalent to the first wave up. Here's another one, just about ready to break through. Notice we had a doji sandwich today. Now, a doji sandwich is still a good trade to be participating in when it's happening. But it also tells you there's going to be more afterwards. So if there's more afterwards, it's telling us they're not going to run into resistance here, that they're going to break through. And if they break through, everybody and their brother that can see that it broke through there, and they're going to start piling in. We want to be in there first. As soon as we see a positive open, the probabilities are going to take it higher after a doji sandwich day. So we don't have to be thinking about it or wait for confirmation. We can just be buying immediately, knowing that the further confirmation is going to come. Okay, let's see. That was Rambus, all right. UCBI. Another J-hook with a doji. It makes this very simple. If it opens positive, you want to be buying, because if they break it out through this level, they're going to take it up some more. And international paper. Whoa, that's not international paper. That's the skyline of Houston. S.IP. Notice how this one came up. Came right smack dab to the 200. Did a morning star signal. J-hook pattern. J-hook pattern. This one still has more upside. And RP. Wave 1, J-hook. Let's make this bigger. Tells me that this has more upside. Wouldn't be afraid to be buying this. Now, a lot of people will ask, well, you're not buying when the stochastics are in the oversold area. If you can see there's a pattern, a wave 1, a wave 2, a wave 3. As long as your stochastics aren't way up in the overbought area, that tells you there's probably more upside. And one more, ORE. Whoops. All right. What was I doing here? That's the ORE. This is working now. There's let's see, ORE. Well, shows butts. What's happened here? One more. I just isn't that always the way? Last one isn't coming up. Well, something's, there we go. Here's another one. Bounced up off the 50. Notice where this uptrend ended. When they gapped it up in an overbought condition. Now look where they've taken it. Right back smack dab to the 50 with a bullish engulfing signal, a gap up out of this range. We're heading back up for another upside move. So that was, that darn cat. No, it was ORE. And for some reason, ORE, maybe it was just a hiccup in the... Well, how about that? Okay. All right. We're still in this steady uptrend. Nothing yet that would make it look like we should have any concerns. As long as they make these days slow and sell off in the morning and bring it back in the afternoon, investor confidence is going to build up until we start seeing a couple of big, huge days to the upside. That's where we start taking our profits to the upside. All right. That's about all. Oh, we had some questions today. How do I do the scanning for these? Now, most of the time, let me see how much of this do we have on there. Okay, well, you can see I've got a, I'm going to do this. Got about almost all of it. All right, if I'm looking at, I'm just happen to have TCNet up here right now. What I do on for my scanning is oh, this is just great. Okay, give me the whole chart back. Almost the whole chart. I've got different scans over here, and my normal scan, if the market has pulled back and we're in the oversold area, I'll do a scan which is essentially set up as oversold stocks with stochastics below 20. Now, what I'm trying to find is stocks that are obviously in the oversold area, but then I can sort them by which ones have had the biggest percent move today to the upside. So basically, I can go down through this type of scan very quickly to find something like this where I've got a doji gap up. Again, that's your best friend. Here's a doji, SY. coming up, won't do anything with it until it comes through. But as I'm doing my scans, when I'm going through these, I'm not over-analyzing or try to analyze them to the hilt. I'm just saying, all right, does this look good? And if it does, I just flag it and I put it into my my watch list 6. And my watch list 6 is just kind of my dumping ground where I dump all the good-looking stocks in there. Now, right now, I don't have I don't use the oversold as much because where are we as far as our market? Our market bottomed out way over here, had a little quick bottom over here, and we're way up here. If I'm looking at stocks right now that are in the oversold condition, that means there's probably something wrong with them if they haven't participated in this market trend. So my next scan is that my total universe of stocks, for me, is stocks that are greater than 5 and trade more than an average of 200,000 shares a day. I think I can show that to you. So here's my parameters. Stocks that are greater than 5. So that takes the universe of 7,800 stocks down to 6,600 stocks. And then I want to find the stocks that are trading more than 90 or more than 200,000 shares a day, which is this number multiplied by 100. And that takes me down to a universe of around 2,700. Now, what I'm looking for in that universe is stocks that have had big price moves that might have broken out of a fry pan bottom. So that's how I come across each stock. And as you can see, I can go through each chart about at this speed. And if I like what I see, I just flag it. And then once I flag it, I dump them all into my watch list 6. So right now, I've got 116 stocks in watch list 6. And if I was to sort them for today, then I start going through and say, all right, which ones look the best, and I'll flag them. And if I've come up with 16 that look good, they go down to watch list 5. And from watch list 5, in this case, I actually have 8 that I found last night. I'll go through and I'll pick and say, all right, which ones look the absolute best for the potential tomorrow? That's why I like DNDN, because they had a kicker signal. I also like our OSI, but I can only pick 2 or 3, or we'd be looking at stocks all day long. Sohu was another one that did so we picked, for today, we picked Sohu, ACTV, and, I wrote them down. Oh, I'm sorry, it was Sohu, FTK, which we'd already recommended. Had it opened positive, it would have been another reiteration of a buy, because that would have been doing a J-hook pattern. So we will do a scanning session where we can go into much more detail. But the scanning sessions are still a function of knowing what your strong patterns look like, or your strong signals. Can you put that process on paper? Garth, it'll be much easier if we do a Saturday morning scan session. And that way you'll at least have the copy of the video so you can keep going back to it. How often do I clean out watch list 6 and start fresh? Maybe about once a week when I get, probably right about this time when I've got 120 stocks on there. I'll go through and I'll start at the top and say, all right, which ones of these still look good after a week? And I'll go down through and I'll pick out the ones that still look good, move them up to watch list 5. Then I'll come back down to watch list 6 and just empty it. And then move all the ones on watch list 5 down to watch list 6, empty out the ones on watch list 5. Now everything on watch list 6 is ones that still look good, and I'll start my scanning process all over the next day. I haven't for TOS yet, but I'm right now in the process where we're doing all the formulas for Metastock, and I'm supposed to be doing some for NinjaTrader. I don't think TOS is ever going to. I must have offended them or something, because they were just happier than a pig in doo-doo that I was going to do some scans for them, and then when Ameritrade bought them out, just ran into that shut door. Yeah, and at this point, yeah, we should be able to share the scans with each other on here. So that's what we've been doing recently is when we did the scans for the Doji sandwich. And so I'm going to start doing each one. As a matter of fact, we should start the scan for the our best friend is easy to do. We'll probably have, and I say have everybody that knows how to do the scanning or the formulas do them, because somebody might have one little formula that works better than the rest of them. And once we find that, then we can start working off of that one to see if we can make it better. Okay, so with that, what time is it? We got started late. Jim, if you want to do the double line, we'll do some here real quick. Okay. All right. Jim, in 10 seconds, do another double line. Okay. Altria Group, kicker signal, came right up to the 200. This one has to open positive and get through the 200. Otherwise, you probably want to take some profits. It's telling us the 200 is acting as resistance. Facebook did a big bearish engulfing signal. It has to open positive and trade positive to stay in it. If it opens lower, they're going to come back down and test the T-line. Walgreens. This one did a doji harami. It's very simple. It's going to move in the direction of how they open this one tomorrow. And Lulu. Just closed up above the T-line. You got kind of a trend channel in here. This one you could be buying on positive trading tomorrow. CVLT. CVLT is in a very slow, steady uptrend, and I'm afraid that's about as good as you're going to get out of this one. As long as it stays in the slow, steady uptrend, you got to kind of equate to see whether that's worth even hanging on to based upon the return that it gives you. And eBay, I did the same thing again. eBay, same scenario, but except it's starting to top out here a little bit. You've got your stochastics in the overbought condition, and you're flattening out quite a bit. If I own this, or if I wanted to own this, I would put a buy stop at 54.30, and I'd sell it if I owned it here, because it's stuck, and it may be stuck forever unless it breaks through the upside. GDX. This one is still having a hard time getting out of its own way. The gold index, it needs something strong to really pop it. You had the kicker type signal. Now it's just hovering above the T line. It needs some good strength from here, which means it needs another positive trading day. SLCA, nice little Morningstar signal. This one you can be buying on positive trading tomorrow. And DGI, another one that could be bought on positive trading, doing a J-hook type pattern coming out of the little fry pan bottom that bounced up off the 50. INCY. This one probably is going to try to hit the 200, but then I'd be very worried once it hits the 200. It's running out of steam at that point. Dang. As long as it stays above the T line, you can stay with it. AT&T. AT&T, I wouldn't be long and short this one. That's kind of a dead pattern. SPWR closed below the T line today on a gap down from a wedge. I'd be out of this. I am out of this. Can always get back in if some sort of pattern sets up nicely, but right now it does not look good. FTK. FTK needs to open positive and trade positive to fulfill the J-hook pattern. And CVC, also nice steady uptrend. You can stay with this as long as it stays above the T line. COSN, I bought COSN on the close today with it closing into the new high territory. Wave 1, wave 2 could be a wave 3 breakout. We did SPT or SPWR. THLD. This has got a good looking chart. How come everything gets so small again? What's the story here? Make this big enough. This one you can be buying on positive trading. The breakout after this flat trading, the consolidation right back to the T line. Now they should be taking it back up again. MWW. I wouldn't be long or short this one. This is flat. OPK. This one is a nice move to the upside. Now you got the exuberance going on up here at the top. Get ready to start taking profits on the first signs of a sell signal. Yahoo. Yahoo doesn't have anything that's making it move back up. No real signal down here. You're still stuck below the T line. It needs something strong to get it through. We'd like to see more of a bearish engulfing signal. Even if it does get through, won't necessarily mean it's going to blast through. You're starting to see this flatten out, and that might be the case. Right now, it doesn't look like a very attractive stock to be trading. BONT. Another one that's relatively flat. Let me see if I'm looking at this wrong somehow. Well, you got a wedge. So if it breaks out of the wedge one direction or the other, which right now looks like it could be to the upside. So I think I can do this. If it breaks out through that level, you want to be a buyer. And Tiffany's. TIF. Still in a downtrend. Has to get through, so you need to see this curl up and then break through this downtrending channel to see any good upside. And then also you have to calculate whether the move is going to be big enough to be worthwhile. CXPO, that's a nice little breakout from kind of a scoop fry pan. This one I wouldn't be afraid to be buying on positive trading tomorrow using today's open as your stop. Humana. This one you can be buying on positive trading also. Got Good signals here. Bullish Harami. Gap up through the T line and the 50. Breakout above this level. Should be, this is the next target. And IOC, trying to get up. Like to see it get closer to 65. We got a call spread on it. And we're at Tuesday, so this is usually way too close to be hanging on to January options, except if you've got the spreads, you got to remember, part of that spread is diminishing, that you want it to be diminishing, which is the upper one. So it's the spread you can hold right almost to the very end. QLogic. Well. QLogic. Big fry pan bottom. Wouldn't be afraid to be buying this one on positive trading. And DOBCOV. As long as it stays above the, or if it opens positive, it's breaking all this, plus the 50. Stay with it as long as it stays above the 50. Okay. Oh, we're just down to where you opened up. I thought I was so happy. Now look at me. TLT, the bond prices coming up slowly. They've got to get back up above this downtrending channel. We did SPWR. That one should be closed out. SCCO breaking out above recent high. Stochastic still heading up. This one you continue to own until you see a sell signal. ACTV, just a nice looking chart. This one I think has the potential of breaking to the upside. Now again, that's why we want to see this market not get real panicky, just kind of a slow, steady uptrend. These fry pan bottoms will have a good chance of breaking out. AT, another nice fry pan bottom that could take you right up to the 200. MCP kind of lost its luster here. Oops. This one just now looks ugly. There's no chart pattern. I'd be taking my money and going someplace else. DVAX. This one is pulled back right to the T line and the 50. It has to open positive and trade positive to stay in it. If it comes down through, it's done. It's going to stay back below the 50. We did Walgreens. Let's see, GDOT. This one you can be buying on positive trading. SHLD. This one's basing. Sears Holding. I was going to mention this one tonight because it did have a little doji gap up, your best friend. But your first resistance is right here. So I wouldn't be afraid to be buying it, but you just be very diligent once it gets to the 50-day moving average. Best Buy, gap up through the 50. This one continuing higher above this little recent peak. Would anticipate you're going to the 200 on this one. And SOL, steady uptrend. Stay with it until you see a sell signal. TROV, nice fry pan bottom breakout. Continue to hold until you see a sell signal. KORS. One that's got a good chart to it, but I wouldn't get excited about it. It looks like it's running out of steam on the stochastics right as you get into the resistance level. Yeah, just not anything I'd run after at this point. I'd probably have my money someplace else. And GMCR had a good chart. If I can spell it right. Oh, it had a good chart yesterday. Lost it today. Still back below the T line. You got to be careful of the dumpling top now that is slowly sinking to where it could be a big sell-off zone. This one seems to be persistent enough that it's going to get to the 200-day moving average. Then you have to watch to see what it does once it gets there. WLT, another one that's closed back below the T line. You should be out of it if you were in it. And Kohl's, another one that's below the T line. You stay short as long as it can't close above the T line. HIMX. HIMX, you stay long as it stays above the T line. You want to see a positive open in this one, obviously. And Rig did that belt hold. If it opens lower tomorrow, take your profits. Not only is it going to come down and test the T line, but it can probably have enough juice to the downside to take it even further than that. U.S. Steel, your Doji closed below the T line, confirmation. They're coming back to test one of these moving averages. And ACX. No. ACW. ACW. Yeah. Boy, ACW, if I had my druthers, I'd be someplace else. Japanese yen, still in a steady downdraft. Where are the scans on this site? I don't know whether we've got the description of the scans on the site, but we should have a couple of the videos showing how to do the scans. If you just email Abraham, he'll get those to you. GD or GHDX, if this opens positive on a kind of a double doji after a rounding bottom, it's eventually got the possibility of coming right back up to the 200-day moving average. And Leap, Leap is another one that just doesn't have enough energy in it to want to be in it. I think that you're better off someplace else. As you can see, you've got too much up and down in here, so it's just a junky trader. Once I see something where I can't figure out what's going on, I just go to someplace else. There's too many charts that have good chart patterns to it. Sony can be bought on positive trading. Notice how it's come up through the 50. Came back, tested the 50. Went up, came back and tested the 50. Notice when it hit the 50, it did a bullish Harami gap up, which tells me if they're supporting at the 50, their next target is going to be the 200-day moving average. Pepsi, bullish engulfing, gap up. Now you're above this resistance level. You continue to hold this one until you see a sell signal. And PBI. Oh, this one stayed above the T line. but it needs to stay above the T-line. If it opens lower tomorrow, you probably want to close out the position. Your stochastic starting to roll over. And Schlumberger, let's see, if you'll hold on for a second, I think somebody has left a door open. Sorry about that. It's freezing cold outside, and they left the front door open. Let's see. That Schlumberger might be topping out where it topped out before. Just have to see what it does when it comes back to the T-line. RES, same scenario. That's a gap down a little bit to the bottom end of yesterday's trading range. If it opens lower, they're coming back to the T-line. You want to take your profits. GMT, same scenario. If it opens lower, they're coming back to test the T-line. EXPE. EXPE, let's give it some more vertical here. You're back below the T-line. If you're in it, it needs to open higher and trade higher to stay in it. If it opens lower, you close out the position. FNP, Doji gap up out of this trading channel. That's a different story now. That tells you something new has happened. You can stay with this one until you see a sell signal. We did Kohl's, we did Sony, Whirlpool. Whirlpool is just too flat. It's an institutional trader. There's hardly enough room to make money on either side of this. Big move was from 100 to 108, and it's waffles in between. I'd be trading something else, unless you've got a long-term call on that one. Okay, Lulu down big. All right. Lulu's kind of lost its luster here. Let's see. Rig. Rig was a big belt hold. Going to be out on weakness tomorrow. ACAS, stay long as it doesn't do a sell signal. Starbucks. Starbucks also getting a little bit toppy up here. The price range isn't that significant. Gone from 51 to 54. So you've gone, or 56. You've gone 8% in a month and a half. I'd find something better to trade. Retail store dinars coming out tomorrow. All right. Rumors are that several retailers did rather poorly over Christmas. And they will do worse. Okay. That I can understand. CXPO, yeah, if it only trades 150,000 shares on a $3 stock, good looking chart. Just you need to be trading out with your real small play money. Vivus needs to open positive tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, there's a cat for sale. If you're very quiet about it, I'll wrap her up in a FedEx box, put a little bit of food in. Should be all right in a couple of days to get there. Oil is in uptrend. And, well, speak of the devil. Okay, BHI, Hanesbrands, slow, steady uptrend also. Not one that I would go after. Okay, yeah, and a mouse pad. Get a mouse pad with that cat. Okay, I think this market, as long as it stays in this slow, steady uptrend, we're going to make some good money on some of these fry pan bottom breakouts. So with that, everybody have a good evening. Sorry we held everything so late. We'll see you in the chat rooms tomorrow. We're going to be, I guess we don't need to test the GoToWebinar if everybody likes Somnovia better. Okay. Have a good evening. We'll see you in the morning.